Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be at the epicenter of a major news event? Picture this: a political campaign in full swing, a bustling market full of unsuspecting shoppers, and a sudden, unexpected turn of events. Our story today begins in the charming city of Bosch, where Geert Wilders, a prominent political figure, is making his rounds as part of his new election campaign. He's waving to the crowd, exchanging pleasantries with the mayor, and preparing to leave in a standard service vehicle, escorted by 2 motor officers. The atmosphere is peaceful, the day has been uneventful, and the crowd is excited to catch a glimpse of the politician. Suddenly, a woman breaks through the crowd clutching a bouquet of flowers. She embraces Wilders, taking everyone by surprise. The crowd gasps, then breaks into laughter as Wilders calmly accepts the flowers. The woman is gently escorted away by security, and the politician's car begins its journey through the city. As the car moves past the market and towards the corner of Hinthammerstraat and Pensmarkt, something strange happens. A sudden explosion occurs near the fish stall of the Kroll brothers, right as the motor officers pass by. The force of the explosion catapults the officers several meters away, near the local tourist office housed in the Moriaan, the oldest brick house in the Netherlands. The explosion leaves a 4x4-meter crater in the road, and the first casualty, along with several injuries, are reported. The blast sends bystanders flying, the scene resembling a macabre puppet show. In the midst of the chaos, our reporter, Roland Veldmuis, who had been covering the event live, is thrown to the ground. He manages to survive unscathed, his mind racing back to his time in Iraq, where he had experienced similar harrowing moments. As the initial shock subsides, a second wave of panic ensues, shots ring out, and the crowd disperses in fear. Wilders' vehicle comes to a sudden halt in front of a retail store, C&A, due to a second, more powerful explosion that leaves a gigantic hole in the road. In the face of unimaginable chaos, Roland musters the courage to continue his report, providing us with a first-hand account of the shocking events that unfolded that day in Bosch. In summary, what started as a routine political campaign turned into a horrifying incident, leaving 1 dead, several injured, and a city in shock. The implications of this event are far-reaching, highlighting the dangers politicians face, the unexpected bravery of reporters, and the resilience of a city in the face of terror. The ripple effects of this incident will undoubtedly be felt and discussed for a long time.
A scene of chaos unfolds. The air fills with the sounds of explosions and gunfire, the screams and cries of a panicked crowd reverberating through the ether. "What is happening?" comes the desperate plea. More explosions echo in the background, mingled with the sight of billowing smoke and debris. Gunfire rings out, painting a picture of a Third World War erupting. Panic reigns supreme. Fathers and mothers run in fear, shielding their children, falling to the ground or rushing towards the safety of a nearby store. The event's epicenter lies across from the reporter's position, suggesting some horrific event has occurred. Back in the studio, the newsman maintains a live feed with the reporter on the ground. He's grateful for the presence of a reporter, albeit through radio. He's aware that a significant drama is unfolding in the market. He keeps the reporter updated via mobile, inquiring about his safety and urging him to continue reporting as long as it's possible and the equipment cooperates. He knows the reporter has experienced his fair share of tragedies, having covered events in Iraq, and trusts his capability to see this through. Lives are at stake. The reporter, Roland Veldmuis, chimes in again. "I'm under fire and trying to get out of here. There's a serious situation unfolding. Wounded people and children lie scattered, their blood staining the ground. The panic is overwhelming and there's no clear leadership. The cries of the injured are heart-wrenching." He comforts a young girl, assuring her that help is on the way. He finds her in a state of shock at the foot of a restaurant stairs. Next to her lies her sibling, their face marred beyond recognition by the explosion, their hand still clasped in hers. A parent tends to the child, and Roland moves on, navigating through the war zone-like environment. Back at the studio, the news team hears the report and immediately contacts local law enforcement. The magnitude of the tragedy is becoming clearer. Police resources are now fully deployed, officers sent out to restore order, hospitals activate their disaster plans, dispatching units to the market. Roland Veldmuis is making his way through the rubble and smoke to the location of a specific vehicle when the chaos began. The distance is less than 10 meters, but the twisted metal of a storefront, large bomb craters, and the scattered bodies of the dead and injured make it a challenging task. He realizes that the restaurant's facade where he was standing saved him. The protruding facade of a nearby hotel limited the effect of the explosion. Roland continues, assuming he's still on air, describing the hellish scene with eerie calmness. For a moment, he likens it to a painting by Hieronymus Bosch. In summary, a catastrophic event unfolded today. Explosions and gunfire turned a bustling market into a scene of chaos and panic. Amid the chaos, reporter Roland Veldmuis provided a live account of the situation, painting a vivid picture of the unfolding tragedy. As we move forward, the full extent of the damage and the number of casualties remain to be determined. The local authorities and medical teams are working tirelessly to restore order and provide assistance. This is a day that will be etched in our memories, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace.
In the heart of Bosch, one of the oldest streets in the city, Hindhammerstraat is coming to life. A cacophony of sirens begins to swell, echoing off the historic buildings that flank the street. The oldest psychiatric hospital in the Netherlands, the Rainier van Arkel, stands at the beginning of the street, a silent sentinel to the unfolding chaos. An explosion has occurred outside the Martens perfume shop and Hunkemuller, scattering debris and shards of glass across the road. The Gero and Bosch hospital is just around the corner, but the wreckage obstructs any efforts to provide aid from this direction. Instead, ambulances are now streaming in from Dode Neustraat via Kolperstraat and Ridderstraat. The storefronts bear the signs of devastation. Shattered glass, damaged facades, doors hanging off their hinges. On the right, the extension of the Central Hotel is entirely destroyed. Across from C&A, the pharmacy's door hangs askew, glass shards littering the ground. The fronts of the Brilmidge and the Kleine Winst are severely damaged, and the shops next to them are not spared either. The city's marketplace is strewn with the wounded. Rescue workers are hastily setting up a makeshift hospital near the Kleine Wereld for the most severe cases. The presence of a city hospital suddenly reveals its advantages. Key streets such as Voederstraat, the Visstraat, Hindhammerstraat, and Petelaarsseweg are being sealed off. These closures are under constant surveillance by police officers. National radio and television stations are jumping on the news, interrupting regular programming. Experts are brought in as speculation begins to swirl. A man named Roland, a witness to the event, is irritated by the impending swarm of sensation-seeking TV channels, but the police have the situation under control. Roland's work of finding witnesses is complicated by the chaos. The highways around the city are flooded with police who are inspecting all incoming and outgoing traffic. The military and anti-terrorist brigade take control of the tunnels and bridges armed to the teeth. Embassies and government buildings are on high alert, security measures are ramped up. Code Red is in effect. The Prime Minister and his Ministers of Justice and Internal Affairs rush by helicopter to the provincial capital for crisis management talks. Traffic builds up. The evening rush hour swells the traffic flow beyond normal proportions, and within hours, the Netherlands is in disarray, particularly given the A2's importance as a traffic artery from north to south and vice versa. Meanwhile, Roland is diligently searching for a woman he saw standing on a water well, who had a clear view of the unfolding event. He saw her running towards V&D after the exchange of gunfire began. Will he find her? What did she see? Stay tuned to find out.
It was a day just like any other. The studio was abuzz with the usual hum of activity. Suddenly, the first official reports began to roll in, breaking the routine tranquility. The initial live report from Roland had sparked a whirlwind of panic and confusion. As the dust began to settle, the local police worked diligently to keep Frank, and through him, the public informed about the latest developments. The prime directive: keep calm and avoid panic at all costs. In the face of such unusual calamities, the hospitals were remarkably well prepared, providing a haven of care and safety amidst the chaos. The first casualty, according to the reports, was one of the motorcycle officers. Not a victim of the explosion, but the ensuing gunfire. His partner, tragically, did not survive the journey to the hospital. Next in line were two young girls, who found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were near the road, close to Wee and Martin's perfume shop, when the second explosion occurred. Across the street, a man on the steps of the Central Hotel was also counted among the victims. The most fatal spot was the corner of the market, Hindhammerstraat. Here, 8 lives were claimed, 6 women and 2 children, including 2 Muslim women. The vehicle was moving slowly here, making it the perfect spot to catch a glimpse of the politician. A few steps away, in the McDonald's, 5 more victims were claimed: a man, a woman, and 3 children. The force of the explosion had hurled them from the floor above to the ground outside. In total, the number of injured exceeded 150. Among the injured was a girl who Roland had noticed earlier at the bottom of the brasserie stairs. Her sister, along with several other victims, was in critical condition in the hospital. Indeed, it was an assassination attempt on Geert Wilders. Even experts were taken aback by the extreme violence employed in this attack. As for the perpetrators, uncertainty loomed. The media had their suspicions, but due to the escalating tensions among different population groups, speculations were cautiously withheld. In conclusion, this was a day that started like any other, but ended in a display of extreme violence and tragedy. The echoes of the explosions and the screams of the victims will forever be imprinted on the city's memory.
A tragic event that occurred in the bustling city of 's-Hertogenbosch. A moment that would forever be etched into the minds of those who witnessed it. It was an ordinary day where a 9-year-old girl, her parents and a 22-year-old woman named Wendy van Hukum were all heading towards a meal at McDonald's. Unbeknownst to them, their lives were about to be shaken to their very core. The young girl had lost her parents amidst the chaos and was crying uncontrollably. An older woman had taken her under her wing, trying to soothe her, but to no avail. The only information she had managed to gather from the distraught child was a description of her parents: a blonde woman in a red ski jacket and a man in a blue denim jacket. The woman could only hope the parents were unharmed and would soon reclaim their child. Meanwhile, Wendy was in the city square, a fervent supporter of a local politician named Geert Wilders. She had been excited to see him and was taking photos for a fan website. As she was waving at his car passing by, a bomb or grenade, she wasn't exactly sure, exploded right behind her. The force of the explosion threw her several meters into the market square. In the ensuing chaos, Wendy's digital camera flew out of her hands, landing several meters away from her. A man in a black suit quickly pulled her to safety into a nearby cafe, assuring her that help was on the way. She asked about her camera, and he told her it might be used as evidence, but took her contact information to return it later. Despite the minor scrapes and cuts she suffered, Wendy showed resilience. She was told she could seek help from victim support services later, and she was grateful for that. But the terror of the moment was still fresh in her memory. She recalled an odd detail. As she was taking a photo, a man in Muslim attire approached the car and opened the left door. But the memory was fuzzy, blurred by the shock of the explosion. She wasn't sure if it was a hallucination or reality. This tale of a normal day turned tragic serves as a reminder of how fleeting peace can be, and how our lives can be irrevocably changed in an instant.